Alright, so we got the chapter 367 spoilers, and this seems to be a pretty exciting chapter. Izuku's finally back, and we're getting some of the interactions as well as reactions that we've been waiting a long time for. So let's just get into it. The chapter begins with the Jets finding Deku in the middle of the ocean. They tell him that the school bus is here, and he hangs on to them with Black Whip. The leader of the pilots says that although they should be monitoring UA, they decided to bet on Deku. He says that their little sister has bet on the future of the new generation, and that it is up to him to defeat the greatest villain. Back to the present, and Deku lands a kick on Tomura All For One. Mirio smiles at seeing him there, and Tomura All For One realizes that Deku's stronger now. Okay, so this goes back to what we talked about in the previous video, and I guess this is just Horikoshi confirming this aspect in case some of us had just missed the finer details on one of those panels, because as I've talked about ad nauseum already, at the end of chapter 357 we saw Izuku on the way to UA, and these things were coming at him. We didn't know what it was at that time, but it turns out that it was the Jets from Star and Stripes' team, and in the previous chapter we saw them in the distance after Izuku had arrived at UA performing his slingshot on Chigarakis All For One. So like I said, this is just Horikoshi confirming this and them saying that their little sister bet on the future of the new generation, of course referring to Star and Stripe, who unfortunately died too soon. Like, it would have been cool if she was still around, but it is what it is. And then the part here about Deku landing a kick on Tomura All For One, we saw that in the previous chapter as well. Once Izuku arrived, he used Black Whips to like slingshot himself off of those poles and wound up smashing Chigarakis All For One with a nice kick. And we speculated about what he could have been doing there. It was probably like the faux 100% where he uses Fa Jin along with like the kinetic energy built up from the Black Whip slingshot thing. And I guess that's being confirmed too, because if we go to the next part here, it says, noticing the energy coming out of Deku's body, he remembers the third One For All user. Shigaraki is sent flying and hits the barrier. Deku goes to apologize to everyone, and that's when he sees everyone's condition. All of them fallen, Bakugo dead with All Might's card. But now we're getting into Izuku realizing what had happened to Bakugo, and we're gonna get the reaction that we've eagerly been waiting to see. Tomura All For One says that he's too late and asks if he's not going to make any excuses, like there's no way I could have gotten here faster. Deku looks at Bakugo again, and rage takes over. His eyes become monstrous, and Black Whip comes out like in the last war. Alright, so this is kind of what we wanted. Well, some of us, I guess, and some of us didn't want this, and you guys will be rewarded later on. But I mean, we fully expected this to happen at first, right? It's only natural for him to react this way to his best friend seemingly dying. I mean, he hasn't been following the story like we have, obviously. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Bloodline Heroes of Lithis. Bloodline Heroes of Lithis is a hero collector fantasy RPG in 3D graphics, where you can not only collect champions but also build kingdoms, create legendary heirs of your house by combining the forces of various bloodlines such as orcs, lycans, demons, and dragonborn. But I also love the fact that you can find yourself a companion and raise heirs on top of that. You can also switch genders for companions freely, and the higher your companion's intimacy, the more powerful your offspring becomes. On top of that, it also has a pretty unique gacha gameplay. You can customize your champions by marrying different bloodlines and developing the family tree, till you find a unique combination of any 5 powerful abilities out of dozens that suit your own gameplay style. It has easy to use controls, you can build your own kingdom and economy, and of course, it's free to play on both Android and iOS. So guys, use my link in the description and get the clan Karg, which are also the Dragonborn, for free. They can transform into real dragons. Or you can taste the mighty power of the Fulgur, which are demigods. They have the best area of effect skills. Or you can also use my link and get a half Dragonborn, half demigods hybrid heir for free, because they're extremely rare. So guys, download and try out Bloodline Heroes of Lithis now for free by using my link in the description or scanning the QR code on the screen. You're going to get an exclusive starter pack worth $20 using my link, which includes 20 intimacy packs, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds. Thanks guys. And it's understandable that he's going to have this Venom-esque transformation again, because that kind of happened to him in the last war, as Rukasu points out here. But yeah, Izuku here is going straight Berserk Deku mode, or at least for now. Let's go a little further. Chigaraki sees this as the perfect scenario for him. Deku will come running blinded by rage, so he'll break his back and end the fight. Just when it looks like that's really going to happen, Mirio comes out of the ground and screams, "Deku, everything's okay." So that's interesting. He's gonna break his back. I mean, we know that his ultimate goal here is to take one for all from Izuku. But I guess breaking his back was just gonna put him out of commission for a little bit, not completely kill him, while he was just going to take everyone else out and finally shut down Monoma and Aizawa. I mean, they're still shutting off All for One. So as long as they're still active, like, he can't take one for all from Izuku, even if he has like an opening. But Mirio coming to save the day in his own way, I guess. I mean, this is better than him showing his butt, I suppose. He says he understands that Deku must be blaming himself, but this is what Tomura All for One wants. He assures him that Tamaki and the others are still alive and that Edgeshot is replacing Bakugo's organs. He will succeed and they will suffer no losses, so he can't give up yet. So yeah, this is like immediately diffusing Izuku, I guess. It's like, hey, don't become Venom just yet. Everything's okay. I know they all look pretty much dead, but I assure you they're not even Bakugo. And I guess this is confirming that Edgeshot is still doing his ultimate become heart and lungs ability on Bakugo and hasn't finished yet, because in the previous chapter we saw him just still lying there and there was no update on him. So I guess it takes a few minutes for this to happen. Chigaraki says that these are just platitudes and that they're ignoring reality. This is when Mirio says that they are heroes. What they do is turn platitudes into reality. This is when Deku remembers All Might, the pilot, and Banjo's words, telling him to control his heart. Banjo is being mentioned later here, the 5th user, and I think they're referring to chapter 213 here. One of the first times that Banjo had spoken with Izuku, where he says, listen, when you use this power out of anger, it'll really start working for you. What really matters is controlling your heart. It's okay to get mad. That rage can be the source. But in the meantime, you gotta control it better, okay? So as simple and bare bones as that is, it is applicable to the situation. And this is how Izuku is going to fully utilize One for All here. Getting mad, using anger, but not going, full-blown Venom Berserk mode. Control the anger. And then that will strengthen One for All. But it definitely helps that Bakugo isn't completely dead here, because then I assume there is no controlling Izuku's anger at that point, right? Deku apologizes to Lemillion, and he says that apologies come after he wins. That's when Deku turns to Tomura All for One and asks All for One, is Shigaraki still there? With all the One for All users behind him, he's furious, crying and using Black Whip as a scarf. End of chapter. So this is cool. It's also kind of offset by Izuku crying through this, but it is Izuku after all. And we've come to realize that this is a big aspect of his character, and we love him for it. But this is pretty hype. I'm really looking forward to seeing this panel. And as for Izuku saying, All for One, is Shigaraki still there? This is for sure playing into the end game of this arc / the end of the series and how this fight is going to wrap up. And I'll go more into this in my video tomorrow once I fully go over the entire chapter after I've seen it, because it was more or less kind of mapped out to us what's going to happen like 60 chapters ago, and it's, I guess, kind of what we expected anyway. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you think about these spoilers in the comments. Did you want to see Deku go completely berserk, or are you happy that he is now controlling his anger and rage and using it accordingly? Let me know, and if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.